Fire has been contained. No damage.
Unseal the doors.
My God, Picard!
Hello, this week on Star Trek Sodium, we have some terrific facts about Star Trek Next Generation's second season episode, Up the Long Ladder. This episode features the Enterprise coming across a group of space farmers while also having to deal with cloning experiments. The original plan for Up the Long Ladder was for an element of the storyline from the previous episode to be continued here. In the previous episode, The Samaritan's Snare, Dr. Pulaski helped Captain Picard to have surgery for a new heart. In this episode, an early script by Melinda Snodgrass made mention of Captain Picard needing a new nose after smelling one of the noxious plants grown by the Irish settlers. Unfortunately, the B story of Captain Picard needing a soapy new nose was dropped in favour of more dialogue between the popular Irish character of Brenna Odell and Commander Riker. So much time and effort was wasted during the filming of Up the Long Ladder when the cameraman realised that the film in the camera had gone bad. Over half the episode had been done when the cameraman investigated a strange hensing sound coming from his camera equipment. The celluloid within had creased in half on the spool, meaning that all of the filming had been wasted. There was nothing recorded at all. This meant that the cameo by Ricardo Montalban had been wasted, as the studio didn't have enough money to pay him for another day of filming. That's why there's no Ricardo Montalban in this episode.
The last thing I expected.
Sometimes you just have to bow to the absurd.
Lots of people, quite wrongly, surmised that this episode is one of the very worst of Star Trek The Next Generation, due to a supposed bad story, alleged sexism, and the generalisation of the Irish people. Those people obviously, though, didn't look any deeper than the surface story, though, which hides a surprisingly shallow moment or two underneath. Also, in regards to the quality of the episode, whereas once it was disliked, it is surely loved now by the Irish nation, who must feel heavily represented in space, as today's standards of equality and inclusion stand tall in this episode, even beyond that of Chief O'Brien's returning inclusion. During the winter of 1987, when Season 1 had wrapped filming, rumour has it that the Riker actor began to hang out at a biker's bar in a new neighbourhood that he'd moved to with the proceeds of his small Star Trek acting fortune. His new house was nice, but the local bar was filled to the brim with rough bikers who laughed at him and called him silly babyface and TV scum. In a bid to fit in with these roughnecks and hooligans, Frakes decided to grow a beard rather than to stop going to his local bar. Over the wintertime, his beard grew successfully and he was welcomed into the fold as one of the boys. As Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2 began, Frakes turned up to work, stinking of the devil's brew, but sporting the beard that Rick Berman would fondly latch onto. Rick even possibly warned Frakes that if he ever got rid of it, he would lose his damn job. The actor who played Danilo O'Dell, a man possibly called Darby Clang Bang Mataclang, was discovered by the casting team while he was working at the Hollywood car wash. Two of the casting team were getting their car washed when a chirpy car washer was putting on a realistic Irish accent, larking about with soap while gently splashing their car, frolicking around. one of the casting people presumably shouted, "This is our guy," as they knew that they'd found exactly the right guy for the job. Darby R. Clang Bang Metaclang had never acted before, but watching him in this episode, you begin to believe that he was a seasoned thespian, up there with the likes of Robert De Niro, Charles Dance, and James Bond. The title of this episode is Up the Long Ladder, which is taken from a popular Irish rhyme, but other episode names were once considered. Episode writer Melinda Snodgrass had originally titled the episode Send in the Clones, but Rick Berman was against puns like this. He just didn't like wordplay, and so he demanded a change. The other names submitted for the episode title were Up the Long Matter, Oliver's List, Persuasions, The Lioness's Tigress, A Bone for the Wicked, A Bone in Half, No Bones Matter, Tina, A Moon's Crush, Moon Heart, and Those Irish Bone Cloners. Not many people don't realise, but due to his continued low pay, the Worth actor also had to work 20 hours a week at his second job just to keep his head above water. He had started working at the Hollywood Library during the production of Up the Long Ladder, where he would work with books, like those Shakespeare ones and the others. His duties would include restocking the shelves with books, helping the public find books, and chasing up people who were late returning their books. I'm sure that when he called those silly grannies and ordered them to bring back their boring tomes in his deep commanding Worth voice, they would bring back the books in no time at all. In fact, I've heard that he quite enjoyed his job at the library. Now, this episode finally gave Dr. Pulaski a time to shine, some real time in the limelight, an opportunity to show her worth, a moment to prove her mettle, to show everyone what she was made of, to cement herself in Star Trek history, and to wrap the audience around her little finger. It was during the production of Up the Long Ladder that the great science fiction war of 1988 was really starting to heat up. It was believed by some that Fisher Stevens said to Patrick Stewart at some point when they were both at an awards ceremony, "I'll wipe my bum on your French clothes," not even realising that Patrick Stewart wasn't really French. It was his character of Captain Picard that was from France, not the real-life actor of Patrick Stewart, who was possibly hailing from the English Riviera of Essex, or one of those stinky London areas. Now, talking about a stinky London area, actress Marina Citrus, who stars in Star Trek Next Generation, she was coming to work wearing her very own boots, not boots supplied by Paramount for the episode, but she had her own boots and she'd wear them in the episodes as well. She demanded to wear her own boots. This was absolutely fine on the face of it, because they were plain black boots, which went with her Starfleet uniform, but the problem was that they squeaked like hell when she walked. Squeak, squeak, squeak as she walked. The sound just kept going, and so what happened in the end was every single scene with Marina Citrus moving had to be cut from the episode. That's why in the finished product of Up the Long Ladder, every scene that we see Marina Citrus in, she's simply standing still talking. She just couldn't be seen moving because of those damned squeaky boots. Thanks ever so much for checking out my very good facts about Star Trek Next Generation, Series 2, Episode 18 Facts, Up the Long Ladder. We're fairly close to getting to the end of Series 2 now, or Season 2 as you Americans might say. Thanks very much for watching my facts. Subscribe for more facts as hopefully we get closer to Series 3. And I'll see you next time. Hit the like button, leave me some interesting comments below. You know, all that normal stuff that the people on YouTube like. And I'll see you next time, unless I don't. Ta-ta! Ta-ta!